Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Malzin with Engagebay. Today, we're very excited to continue our interview series where we sit down with the biggest names in sales and marketing. For this episode, our guest is small business marketing guru and entrepreneur, Laurie McCabe. Laurie brings more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry to her current role as co-founder and partner of SMB Group. Laurie has earned widespread recognition for her insights into small and medium business technology adoption requirements and challenges. She's a 6-time Small Business Influencer Awards winner. She's been recognized as one of the 50 most influential people in small business marketing by All Business. She's a member of Dun & Bradstreet's B2B business expert community, and she's been named a top 200 thought leaders in big data and analytics by Analytics Week. So Laurie, I can't wait to talk to you more. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. All right, so the first question, I know you have, a background in psychology and communications, and you've been doing small business marketing for a while. How did you get into it all? What's the journey been like?
Yeah, well, I actually kind of started my career on the sales and marketing end for technology companies and had a kind of interesting segue, I guess, into market research because I was asking a lot of questions. So one of my bosses basically said, you ask a lot of questions. Maybe you should head up our research and competitive analysis area. So I did that a while for a vendor, and then was asked by one of the analyst firms that worked with us if I had any interest in being an analyst. So that's how I got on the analyst track, and from there just kind of gravitated more and more to small and medium business. A lot of the big analyst firms kind of focus more on the large enterprise space. And I just found the whole channels area and SMB area really fascinating. So about 10 years ago now, my colleague and partner, Sanjeev Agarwal, and I founded SMB Group.
Very nice. So what made you want to get into the SMB industry?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I think we got cut out a little bit. Yeah, no, what made you want to get into SMB? Because you said, that it wasn't really a big area that people were focusing on.
Well, I think that was part of the attraction. I just really liked the fact that in the small and medium business market, they don't have a lot of technology gurus and wizards kind of working for them. So every solution has to be about business results, not about what's the latest bright and shiny object. And so I just like that more pragmatic focus on really how do I get these different solutions to bring benefit to the business as opposed to, technology for technology's sake, more like technology for business sake.
Okay. So how would you say how difficult it is for small business to get into digital transformation and technology?
Well, I'd say a couple of things. We just did a survey, and the good news is that small and medium businesses awareness and understanding of what digital transformation is growing.
Mm-hmm.
So today, as opposed to 2 years ago when we first asked the question, now we have over half of small and medium businesses saying, yeah, I know what this is. And we also have over 80% saying, I've got to use technology effectively if I want my business to thrive. I see technologies having a huge impact on my industry and other things like that. So definitely they see that this, all these technologies and a lot of other things in the economy are really reshaping what it means to be a success in business. And you have to change. But actually putting these things to work is kind of tough. I mean, only about a fifth of the people we talked to felt like, yeah, my company is really well prepared. We're ready to meet this digital future head on. We've got all our, I's dotted and T's crossed. So I'd say it's very challenging, and a lot of the challenge is due to the fact that, in smaller companies, in really small companies, you might not have any IT staff. But even as you get a little bigger, it's more like an IT generalist. And so you really need kind of the business goals of the company to kind of come together with how can technology help empower that? And that's often a big challenge in smaller companies, just because of lack of manpower, lack of time, and a lot of other things.
What about budget? How do you think, like, are SMBs open to investments in business technology? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, we see about half of them planning to increase their spending in the next year, in their next fiscal year. But definitely budget's a challenge because it's not an unlimited budget, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of companies, it's really about prioritizing what's most important. And so it may be that there's three things you want to do, but you only have the budget to do one. So budget is very challenging.
How would you recommend prioritizing, the different things you want to do?
Well, I think okay, so there's certain table stakes you have to have, right? So I would say one of the things today is really on the security front. Because if the data that you're running your business with, all the customer data, internal data, sales data, all that kind of data, if that goes unprotected and is hacked or violated in any way, you can lose your whole business.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is turn on the news to find out about that. So I think there's just some table stakes areas that you really have to assess and make sure you're doing well enough so that you're not putting your business in jeopardy. After that, I think the way to look at it is, okay, what can I do in my business that really is going to help me move the needle, really is going to help me take a step forward. So it may be, oh, I've got to, I really need to expand into a new market. Maybe I'm serving B2B today and I want to add consumer market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm serving US today and I say, I got to go, maybe let me try Canada. I think there might be a market for my solution there or my product. Maybe it's I need a new sales channel. Maybe I need to really have a better way to attract and retain employees because I'm losing them. I've got too much churn in the workforce, and so I can never get ahead, and I have to look at what I can do to make employees more kind of fulfilled and productive on the job. So I think the thing is to say what's kind of slowing my business down today, and focus on that. And depending on the size of the business, you may be able to focus on more than one thing at once. But I think for small businesses in particular, pick that one thing and really invest in it, and then benchmark where am I today with this situation, and then after I start looking at different solutions and ways to improve the situation, look at the progress you're making.
Okay, that's really good. Switching gears now, I know a lot of small businesses often have different point solutions, but they don't always communicate that effectively. What advice would you have for such a situation?
Yeah, well, that is definitely more often than norm than not. And
Mm-hmm.
that's because, you start a business, you're going to get some productivity software, either, as a cloud service or, package. You're probably next thing you're going to get is a true kind of business piece of software, maybe like an accounting or a bookkeeping kind of solution. And then you say, oh, I need to do this, and I add something for sales or marketing, and then I maybe, I'm going to have a storefront. So you kind of, start adding all these things together, and it's kind of an ad hoc experience. And at a certain point, though, you look around and you say, wow, this doesn't talk to that, which doesn't talk to that. So when you're doing work, the information isn't flowing through all those systems. You have to kind of re-enter it, or set up a batch file kind of transfer, or whatever you're doing. And when you get to a point of business where you're doing a lot of transactions, you have a lot of transaction volume, or you're doing a lot of anything, if these things that need to talk to each other don't talk to each other, it really can start creating a drag on your business. So a great illustration in the sales and marketing would be like if you sales, contact management here and marketing here, and they don't fit together, you're always kind of having to jump back and forth from one app to the other app.
Yeah.
And not only is that like a real pain in the neck and a big time waster, you're probably going to miss stuff. You're just probably not going to remember to put stuff in, and so you're not going to have a really good view of what's going on, and it can be a real challenge. So I think a lot of times, you get to a point where you say, I have to have these things integrate. And sales, marketing, service is certainly a big area where good news is there are a lot of integrated solutions.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So, all right, next question. So, a lot of enterprises obviously they have a bigger budget than small businesses. If a small business wants to use disruptive technology, how can they, get the advantage over an enterprise business?
Well, I wouldn't ever start with the technology, right? I would start with my business and what am I trying to do? So is it, maybe I'm in a situation where I'm not getting enough repeat business from my customers, right? So I need to be more engaging with them. So when the next time they need similar services or products, they keep coming back to me instead of going to a competitor. So what I would do is then look for, what's a way that I can use technology maybe to make that relationship better. So it may be that I'll do more online chats. Maybe I'll send out, automated kinds of thank yous and offers for, people to buy something else from me. Maybe I'll send out little surveys, whatever. But those are all, they sound very simplistic, but a lot of businesses just don't do them. So I guess at the end of the day, what you want to do is look at, where can I improve the business and what role can technology play so that I don't have to do all this manually. And then I guess on another level, there may be some whiz bang thing that'll just make a certain product or service you deliver more exciting. So maybe there's some way you could incorporate, I don't know, virtual reality if you're selling clothes or makeup or something like that online, so somebody can try on and see and how they're using it. But again, it all has to be in pursuit of the business goal, because I don't know, like if you're selling paper clips, I don't really know if like virtual reality is going to make too much of a difference.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It has to really, be part and parcel.
Okay. So, how important do you think relationship building is with, working with small or medium business clients? Or any client, I think.
Any client. It's the be all and end all, except if you're selling a total commodity like those paper clips, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to start and it will end if you don't have the relationship. And I think, so that face-to-face personal relationship is very important, but you can certainly supplement that using different kinds of solutions. So I mentioned things like online chat. You can do videos, explaining. Maybe you're a landscaper, since I have someone here mowing the lawn, and maybe I don't know, maybe he also does landscaping, so I could put videos on my site of the projects I've done and things like that. I could do, maybe like a virtual walkthrough of, your yard now and then how it's going to look after I come through and do my magic. But it is all about the relationship and the follow-up. And I think really, not dropping the ball as the vendor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us, it's just human nature. We don't want to feel like we're bugging somebody too much.
Yeah.
Kind of the nice thing about technology is you have more ways to touch someone in what, is a personal and informative way, not a salesy way, with information that maybe it's food for thought and good value. And over time, people will start thinking of you as an expert, and that helps nurture the relationship too. So there's a lot of ways to build relationships, but very, very important. And it's not about pushing something, it's about being a trusted resource.
Okay, that's great. All right, so your SMB group, I know that one of the things, the pillars of success that you guys have had is the research and insights that you've given to SMBs, but sometimes this is for free, right? You guys offer that for free?
Mm-hmm.
What is the thought process behind that?
Okay, well, it's a dual-pronged thought process. The first prong is that small and medium businesses don't generally buy research and analyst services, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Coca-Cola is going to have a big contract with Gartner and Forrester and whoever. SMBs usually, they're not going to be spending a lot of money to buy analysts and research services. But vendors do spend money to buy services to better understand SMBs and to help them better serve SMBs. So our business model is all about, we have vendor clients that want to do a better job of reaching, understanding, and serving SMBs. And we do consulting, research, all kinds of things for them. One of the things we do is a little bit of the money they spend with us goes into kind of a pot in which we do a lot of research studies, and we publish out a lot of the findings from the research studies, and also perspectives we have on different things. We publish that out to the SMBs for free.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody has to have some way to make money. We think this is kind of a win-win-win.
Okay, that's really interesting. All right, so next I want to talk about a quote of yours, and it is, in the age of social media and crowdsourcing, you need to know what people are saying so that you can both spread the good word and diminish and counteract negative commentary. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I think we've been in the age of like social media for quite a while now. It's like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and other Instagram, whatever. Interestingly, I think some people think of it still, though, more as a bullhorn to just talk about themselves and what they're doing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not to negate that. That should be part of everybody's social media strategy to tell the world, about your thoughts or tips or what you're interested in or even what you're selling. But I think where sometimes people don't take enough advantage of it is to kind of use it to monitor what the outside world is saying about you or saying about areas you're in. Like, so if I'm a hair salon or whatever, what's going on? What are the latest trends on Instagram that everybody is really looking at that
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm offering in my salon, right? And certainly, obviously, if somebody says something negative about your business in particular, you're probably going to know that. So,
Yeah.
unless you're just totally in the dark. But I think most businesses today know they would be in the loop on that. But I think where maybe they're dropping the ball is just, it's kind of an inexpensive way to keep a pulse on maybe some of the trends in your business area or your industry. And it may give you some great ideas. I mean, you may see like, oh, this is something that's really become a really big trend among restaurants in the Cincinnati area, and it hasn't really started yet here in the Boston area. Oh, maybe I'll give that a try, and maybe that'll be something that gives me a little differentiation as a restaurant owner. So I think it's just, it's like word of mouth, but it's virtual word of mouth. And it's just tapping into that because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening out there.
Okay, and you definitely think SMB should be on social media, yeah?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think in this day and age, probably you need to be on at least something, and but you don't need to be on everything. So my advice is, what are like the two things that your customers are most likely using, right? And if you're in the consumer space today, it's probably Facebook and Instagram, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the business space, though, it may be LinkedIn and Twitter. So you have to kind of think about, where are my customers going to find out about things? And like I have a spa I go to. They're awesome. They're always posting like the specials for the next day on Facebook. So if you have a break in your day and you can go get that massage that usually costs $100 for $70, yeah. I mean, it's a great way for them to fill everybody's schedule up that works for them, and their clients are happy because they got a great discount.
Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about blogging. I know you do a lot of this, yeah?
Yes.
So how would you recommend SMBs have like a content strategy?
Well, again, it depends on your business, right? But I would say most of your content should be informative and educational. Again, trying to put yourself in a position where the people you'd like to do business with you view you as a trusted resource. So getting back to that landscape business, if you on your website and your Facebook feed, if you're putting out tips, this is how to get your hydrangeas to bloom pink instead of blue. This is, it's fall. These are the top 5 things you need to do this fall to make sure your lawn comes in great next year. So I think your content really ought to evolve around your expertise. And it doesn't all have to be written. You can do, it's easy. Any of us can take a phone right now and do a little video with our phone. And I really think that, production quality, if you are a Fortune 500 brand, is probably important. But honestly, if I were to look at a website and, on gardening or something else that I'm interested in, and it was a local landscaper, I would just be more interested in the information. It really wouldn't bother me that this wasn't a professionally edited video.
Okay.
You can do video, you can do obviously written blogs, obviously podcasts that might require a little more kind of planning. And I think in a small business, don't go cuckoo. I mean, I think once a week or so, even just pictures, just images. Like my hairstylist, she is always putting on Instagram images, like just one of them she just posted. It was a girl. She had hair, pretty blonde hair like yours. And I don't know, for some reason, this client wanted pink hair. But amazingly, it came out really pretty. So, but she'll post pictures of kind of before and after. And what does that take her? Maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes. Take the picture when she's done. And say,
Yeah.
before and after, blonde to, light pink with blonde highlights or something. And so the content doesn't all need to be something you spend hours and hours on.
Okay. So, like an SMB doesn't necessarily have to hire a writer if they don't have one. Or what would you say?
I mean, no, I mean, it depends on your business and your goals. If you're in an information intensive kind of business, like we are with SMB Group, maybe you might need to at least hire a freelancer or something like that. Because some of the content you want to have is written, and you as a business owner, you may not have time to write it yourself. But you just have to evaluate what is it I do, how's the best way to kind of bring my expertise across to other people so I start gaining recognition in terms of my capabilities in my area.
Okay. So what are your tips for getting content accepted by Google?
Content accepted by Google. Well, first of all, that's a whole big conversation. I mean, I don't think Google, I think Google accepts most content, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to say, oh, this is not coming up in the Google search or something. But there's a whole definite science to Google search and coming up high in Google search rankings that I just think are probably more detail than we would want to go in here today. But there's plenty of great articles there that can, they also change their algorithms pretty quickly, pretty often, rather, Google. So I think you just want to go research that. Point of complete honesty here. We do come up number one when you Google SMB on Google, but I don't control that. So I don't personally do that job. So I would not be the expert there in telling you how to rate high in the search engine.
Okay.
So plenty of people out there. Just Google how to rank high on Google.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So do you feel that a CRM tool with a unified marketing, sales, and support automation would help an SMB? And how? Especially if they don't have a big budget.
Yeah. I think, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you may not need that. Like if
Okay.
it's just you and, you're doing whatever, freelance writer, whatever you are, probably don't need to do that. But once you start growing a little and you have a few employees and, you have some kind of cadence and system to your marketing and sales, and people have to be coordinated, campaigns have to be coordinated. I think at that point, yeah, I mean, you do want to have an integrated sales and marketing and maybe even service as well. Again, depending on the product. But basically, it's because you want these workflows that people do to automatically move the information across, like in this case, from lead to sale, right? And you want to be able to easily see where people are in the pipeline, and you want to be able to set up your campaigns and your sales calls and everything else so that it all works smoothly and things don't fall through the cracks, leads don't fall through the cracks or someone isn't followed up on properly. It's really important, and that's what that unified kind of solution will do.
Okay. So there's a lot of new technology that's out. We got, Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence. How equipped do you think small businesses are to adapt to these new technologies?
How equipped are they?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't think most SMBs are just going to go out and say, I want to buy me some blockchain or I want to buy me some AI. I think the main way most small and medium businesses will consume these technologies is through the solutions they already use. So what I mean by that is most of the leading players in any solution area, financial, sales and marketing, HR, you can just go down the list, payroll, they are embedding, especially AI capabilities, into their solutions, AI and machine learning, so that the applications will get smarter and do more for you in terms of making recommendations and categorizing things that are happening, like transactions, whatever. Do more and more of that for you. And that makes it manageable for an SMB. I just don't think too many are going to be able to say, oh, I'm going to be able to figure out how to add some AI on to what I do. It's just really hard. But luckily, I think that they will be able to take advantage of all these things in a lot of the software they already use, especially the cloud software, where the stuff is, usually really frequently rolled out. The new upgrades are rolled out very frequently. They can pass along these new capabilities, and they're passing it along in the context of an application you already use for a function you already use. So I know this is, more sales and marketing, but I think a really easy description of one would be Intuit. So if you're using Intuit, the system learns to automatically categorize different expenses like travel expense or supplies or whatever. And you as a human, you can check on it and make sure it's being categorized the way you want. But slowly but surely, it's going to offload you of having to every time make that categorization, manually.
Mm-hmm.
It's very natural because it's something you're already doing. It's just offloading it from you.
Okay. So let's talk for a moment about, you were talking about marketing, so influencer marketing. Where do you think that fits in SMB?
I think that when you're really small, you are your influencer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But, as you grow, though, you need to also enlarge kind of the influencers that are affiliated with your brand and are educating out there in your world, whatever that world is, and without being salespeople for you, I guess is what I'm saying. And I think
Okay.
that's the hard thing for, especially if you're small, budget's limited, blah, blah, blah. You want to have influencers, and you may need to pay some of these influencers, honestly.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you don't want to pay them necessarily to do a product promotion, like an ad kind of thing. You more want to say, oh, so-and-so sponsored this video. I'm going to teach you how to do, I don't know, whatever. And it's sponsored by, whatever your company is.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is the best use of influencer marketing. And a lot of, if you watch a lot of the big brands, that's kind of what it is. Now, of course, you have the Kim Kardashians out there and the big celebrities that are just hawking products. But I honestly feel it's more effective, and especially for SMBs, to look out and say, all right, well, who could I kind of bring into the fold here, bring on board to kind of just help me extend my message a little bit. And that might be a more effective way. I mean, obviously, you're not going to hire big celebrities if you're an SMB.
Mm-hmm.
But there are definitely probably ways you can bring in influencers to just highlight and underscore the messages you want to put into the market.
And so what are your tips for, small businesses and medium businesses to afford influencers?
Well, first of all, some influencer work may be free.
Yeah.
Like, there are definitely things like you're doing today where we have a common goal. You want to help educate SMBs, and so do we. So I'm happy to just get on here and, give you some of my thoughts and ideas. So I think, finding people that have common ground with you, and, they'll probably appreciate the opportunity to also advance their thinking on the subject, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would say that's a good way to start, so that maybe you can do it without spending a lot of money.
Okay.
Obviously, if you get more into something where you want more product promotion, then like anything else, you're probably going to have to pay for that.
Okay. So let's say we're talking about a chain of retail.
Remember, people appreciate the education more than the product pitching. And if you do the education right, they're going to naturally become more interested in what you have to sell.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's really good. All right, so let's say you're a chain of small retail stores and you're trying to grow. What would be the tools that you would recommend for that?
Well, I mean, again, it would depend on what kind of retailer you are. I think one of the things you really have to do, I mean, if I'm assuming if you're a retailer, you're also an e-tailer. If you're not an e-tailer, you probably want to be an e-tailer and also selling online. And what I think you need to be doing is kind of cross-fertilizing across your online and physical channels.
Mm-hmm.
So you make it easy for your customers to shop the way they want to shop and have a continuous kind of experience across both channels. So again, it's kind of hard to say what to do without knowing the specific area of retail, but I think that today most people are selling, in a multi-channel kind of environment. And it's really important that you give them not only a consistent experience across the channels, but an additive experience, I guess I would say. So you probably want to bring them into stores for certain things and make that special when they do come in some way. So maybe have some events, not just they're coming in to buy whatever, but maybe it's even there's a kids area, right? So it's easy for the kids to play when the mom really wants to try on those clothes that she looked at online. But make whatever you do not just consistent. I can buy, I can sell, I can return, I can order, either way. But make sure there's some unique things they get from the in-store experience, and then maybe some other unique things they get online.
Okay, that's really interesting. All right, so my last question is this. What kind of advice would you offer to somebody who wanted to do like what you're doing and help small and medium-sized businesses?
Well, I think that the first thing you should do would be to go out there and get an idea of all the voices that are in the market already. As you know, there's a lot of SMB influencers and a lot of SMB research and analysts and consulting companies and things like that. So you probably want to think, what would my added value be, or what kind of new wrinkle could I bring to all this? How could I have a voice in the small business space or the SMB space or the medium business space or whatever? And it may be an industry voice. Like you were just talking, retail. Retail is a very big SMB segment. So retail SMB voice, if that's your background or experience, or a personal services SMB voice. It could be an industry voice. It could be a voice that helps SMBs with channels, helping SMBs figure out how to develop and start new sales channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can, I think there's still plenty of room for generalists, but I also think if you have experience in a certain area, that's a big plus, because you can get a really big footprint in that one area that might be hard to get in.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Laurie. I really appreciate you talking to us. I think you provide a lot of great insights that our audience is really going to appreciate.
Well, thank you. It's great to talk to you, Nicole, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. All right, so